All right. Well, welcome everyone. I'm glad you could join us today. And what we're going to be basically looking at today is over the past several years, we have been doing quite a bit of AutoLISP programming for a wide variety of clients of a wide variety of types of them. So we thought it would be a good idea to kind of show people some conceptual ideals that we have done for people. Nothing will be exactly like that. We're not showing, save for one, we're not showing anybody's actual routine that we have written for them. And most of them have been simplified to keep it easy on here, and some of them have been actually improved upon, in my opinion. So some of you, if you are with some of those companies, may see something and go, hey, we want that added to ours. That would be fine. A lot of it is coming from, basically, I was a CAD administrator for well over 15 years, close to 20 years. And a lot of this is coming from when I was a CAD administrator and what I did for that company that I worked with. It's some of that will be exactly what I did for that company that I worked with at the time, which that company is now out of business. So I don't have a problem showing their stuff that I did for them. And some of it has actually been improved. But a lot of times that is when routines are similar to that type stuff, they're going to be my starting point for things I've done for other clients. So lots of times I've got similar routines for multiple clients because they all have similar plans and ideas, and I just start with something I created in the past. But this is just to kind of whet your appetite and let you see what you could do yourself, or you could hire us to do for you, either one, because this is nothing that other people can't do if you know how to do any programming in with AutoLISP. Looking at the overview, which for some reason did not, there we go, of what we're doing. This is basically what we intend to cover in this particular webcast. Is one of the things we'll cover is going to be set up in administrative functions for the installation of the programs and things like that. It's something I usually do for almost every client that I write list routines for, because lots of times they don't want to have to go through and dot every I and T to make sure they have it set up correctly. So I will set up a routine that will be very similar to what I'll be showing you, that for the actual installation of the routines and to make them work. And also, it makes CAD administrators and IT managers' job easier. Sometimes companies that have IT managers, they like some of this stuff because it just makes their job easier, and they don't know AutoCAD, and it does the work for them. Managing layouts and page setups and drawings. It's a routine I wrote back in the 90s that I call add layout. It's the one I'm going to demonstrate, but I have made this same routine and modified it for several different companies. Some I think are even actually listening and attending today. I've made versions of it that will vary for different companies, but they'll see similarities. But this one was originally written in 1994, I believe, or 95, and I've just kind of modified it to different people's taste. And then project data, title blocks, and drawing revisions. This working with Vault or without it. This is also routines that I wrote back in the 90s that have been updated to the newer software. And this is probably one of the most common things I've created for companies in the recent years. Everybody wants theirs customized the way they want it, but it's usually the same starting point, which is what you'll be seeing here today, is the starting point that I'll start with when people tell me what they want. And so you'll get to see kind of that. Creating layouts, labeling, and BOMs, that's something I've done for several different companies. I'm going to be showing you a version I wrote just for the webcast. So that it's not showing anything that somebody would want to, that would be a problem with any companies we've written for. Same thing with the adding data to drawings and extracting data to external files. Those two are very closely related, but they are different types of routines and do have different outputs in the end. And also another thing that's very common is task automation for not only just an active drawing, but for entire folder structures or entire projects, however you want to look at it, and how you can create routines that will basically process a folder and subfolders and things like that. And then lastly, some routines that are specific to tool sets, AutoCAD Electrical and Plant 3D. just to show you that we can write things, and you can also for multiple tool sets and not just AutoCAD. And then all through this, I will be talking about this you can do in AutoCAD LT, this you can't, because if you didn't know, AutoCAD LT 2024 now allows you to use AutoLISP. It's the first LT version to do that, but there are limitations. So some of the things I'll show you, I'll right off the bat tell you, you can't do this in LT. And then other things I'll tell you, this will work in LT without issue. And at the end, I'll kind of give you a little diagram of what all this actually is, and to let you know kind of an overview of what works in LT and what doesn't. So that's kind of the overview of what we're going to do. I'm switching here now to AutoCAD in 2024, and I'm not going to bring that slide up again, but I'll just mention each point. You can look at the website if you want to see those in the same sequence they are that I just went over for what's happening in this particular webinar. So this first function is what I call my setup function, how I will create things to make it as simple as possible for people to install custom AutoCAD AutoLISP routines on every computer. This is something I have done for years and years and years, and it works quite well. This is one of those things, though, that you cannot do in AutoCAD LT. AutoCAD LT will not allow you to do anything that's going to access advanced settings and features of AutoCAD or AutoCAD LT. So none of this will work in AutoCAD LT. You have to manually set up everything in an LT. But just to show you what we're talking about, I'm just going to start a new drawing. This is the template folder out of the box. And this, you can see the tool palettes over here, the out of the box tool palettes, things like that. And the first thing I want to show you is the options. And this is just to show you out of the box, nothing here, no smoke and mirrors, everything's out of the box, trusted locations, template settings, printer settings, everything is the out of the box settings. So if you went to plot a drawing, for instance, it's not going to see any custom CTB files and things like that. So basically the concept here is in Windows, S being a network drive, I have my AutoCAD folder here, and this is where I'm going to have all my customizations. So I have my plotters folder, the plot styles, PMP styles that are available. I have my library. Now the electrical and plant 3D, those two are set up differently than what I would normally do it, but that's because I wanted to keep it separate for those two pieces of software. Normally I would put what's in there mixed in with everything else. But I just didn't want to do that for this webcast, just to keep things a little separate there. And what's in there won't work in AutoCAD anyways. But the library, this list folder, most of these things, the tool palette folder, everything is named exactly like they are in AutoCAD. And they're all subfolders of where this ACAD list file is. And that's the key to the way I set up things, is wherever that ACAD list file is, that's where it's going to look for these folders. Now, AutoCAD LT uses an LT list file instead of an ACAD list file. So all I have it set up to do is basically it says load this file. And this one is saying load this file, which is a third-party routine that I use a lot, which is just a bunch of functions to keep me from having to reinvent the wheel. This is the way I explain it to people, because I don't have the code for this to give you. It doesn't belong to Hagerman or anything. It's just a freebie that I got on the internet years and years ago. I've been using it since about 1992. But anyways, I can reinvent everything that's in here. But when I do an estimate, if we don't use this file, that estimate will triple to quadruple in size, because I'm going to have to reinvent the wheel, and this keeps me from doing that because it's already tried and true functions. Some people, you might be familiar with the DOS library out there, it's that type of thing, but it's not the DOS library. I prefer this one over DOS library, because DOS library I have to update every year to match the version of AutoCAD. This one, I can use that same file in release 14 as I do here in 2024. I don't have to worry about versions of AutoCAD with it. So anyways, that's what's happening with this. But this where this location is where everything for this particular routine is set on, and then it's strictly the names of the folders that it's looking for everything else. So basically all I have to do is tell AutoCAD where that file is. Now I use an AutoCAD list file over an AutoCAD doc for one specific reason. Mechanical, AutoCAD mechanical and AutoCAD electrical use an AutoCAD doc, and I don't want to overwrite those because then I'll mess up those pieces of software. So AutoCAD Lisp allows me to use any piece of Autodesk software, AutoCAD software. I don't have to worry about it, but AutoCAD doc is limited to 2 pieces of software. If I could create my own AutoCAD doc, then I screw up the software. So that's why I use an AutoCAD Lisp. I'm not a proponent of AutoCAD doc for that reason. Anyways, so here's what I do. Go to options, and this is all that's required. Go to support file search path, add, browse, and still the software where that AutoCAD list file is, which is in this folder. Hit open. I literally can stop and hit OK, and it's done. However, if I don't do the next one, then everybody that opens up AutoCAD, I have to do this on each machine. Everyone that opens it up, they're going to have to go answer a question. If they answer it wrong, then it's not going to set up correctly. So best if you go to trusted locations and add that same, I'm just going to F2 and paste it right there, that same one, and say continue here, and you're done. Now you don't risk the user making an error at that point. And all I have to do is say, okay, close AutoCAD. I couldn't find my cursor there for a minute. Close AutoCAD and reopen it. It does the rest. Once it is opened, the first thing you'll see is when I hit new here, it's looking in a different template folder. Those are the 2 templates I have in the one that I have under that AutoCAD. So it knows to go there. I'm just going to use the out of the box template for now. Other things that happened was it set up all these different folders in the search path, the library and the Lisp and the support. It added to trusted locations where my list files are going to be. It set up my printer support path. Didn't get rid of the AutoCAD one. It just added mine to the top of the food chain, and we'll type in plot in just a second. Set my template settings, set my tool palette location. I don't know if you noticed, I have my tool palettes open now, not the one out of the box one. It's because it was all set up here without having to do anything else. I'm going to just go ahead and hit OK. Again, if I go to plot, it now sees my CTB files as well as the out-of-the-box ones. It would be this way for everybody on the network. It also sees my PC3 files as well as all the out-of-the-box ones. So everything was set up to work exactly like I need it. If I went later on and I decided to add another folder here, I'm just going to add a folder called mechanical. I'm going to keep it simple for today and just do the one. I can add this as a subfolder under library or Lisp, either one. Literally close the drawing and open up another drawing. That was added to the support file search path without having to do any other additional setup. So it's going to do that from this point on. As long as I add a folder or delete a folder, it will update my search path accordingly because it knows and understands now where things are that I want it to be. It's going to put them in the proper location. It allows me to do a lot easier on my setup. So that's kind of the setup routine, but like I said, that only works in AutoCAD and all the tool sets. It will not work in LT at all. And that's pretty much it on that one. The next part we had on our list was managing layouts and page setups. I mentioned add layout. As you can see, that's what I've got here on my tool palette, and that's the one I'm going to use just to show it to you. Basically, this one will also not work in LT. The reason this one will not work in LT is because it's reading and getting the information from the template. Okay, I'm going to open up a drawing so I have an actual drawing to work with. I'm going to open up One of my project drawings here, this I312002 is probably the one I'll use the most in everything that I show. Is an AutoCAD P&ID. This is not a Plant 3D P&ID. This is one I created back in 1990 something. It's been redacted and a lot of modifications to it through the years so that there's nothing that would be, you know, break anybody's rules or anything. And I had permission to do this one too. But anyways, this is a P&ID that's created in AutoCAD. It's got one layout in it, which is this D-DWIF one. If I hit my add layout, it's not going to work instantly because it's going to give me a message. I have not set up QNew. If you know what QNew is, that's when you hit the new button here. You tell it what template you want it to use to start new drawings. This particular one I've got set up to work off of whatever template QNew is. That's telling it what it's going to read. But it's going to ask me, what do you want to set QNew to? Again, this won't work in LT because it doesn't allow you to do this type of setup. As soon as I hit open, it has now set QNew, and it now knows that in that template, I have 3 layouts and 3 page setups set up for those 3 layouts. I could have 20, I could have 200, I could have 2. It doesn't matter. However many are in there, it's going to give me a list alphabetically of all the layouts that are in that template. And I can now import those layouts in here. So you can see this one is currently set with DWIF, which is this one. I could use all 3. So I'm going to pick B and my DPDF ones, and I'm not going to replace anything and say okay. And I got all 3 layouts now in here. They're the exact same drawing, different plotters. So again, if I go to DWIF and do plot, it's plotting to a DWIF and it's D size. If I go to the PDF one, do a plot, it's plotting to a PDF. And it's D size. And of course, this one is going to be a B size PDF. Same exact drawing being plotted to 3 different sizes and 3 different printers and things like that. I could have one set up for my OSA printer, my HP printer, my plotters, whatever I have in there, and I can import them at will to a drawing. I can also, if I don't want all of them, I can tell it I just want it to be the B size and replace that existing, hit OK, those are gone. All I have is my B size. And I could do that with any drawing at any time. That's a real nice little tool for being able to control your plotting without having to constantly reset these things because I'm controlling. They're all set up already one time in my template. The rest of the times I just have to tell the drawing which one I want. And so I can transfer those back and forth. Again, that one will not work in LT because it's reading another drawing, and that's the limitation of LT is you can't pull from other drawings to transfer things. The next one I'm going to show you is dealing with title blocks and project data and stuff like that. So this is one that I've written a long time ago. I've written, I'd love to say thousands of times for other clients, but I've probably done over 24 other clients through the years of Hagerman and for creating title block routines. They all start with this one, which is the one that I wrote for the company I worked for back in the 90s. If I go to the title block one, first let me tell you, we talked about vault, with or without vault. So this title block one here was written to work with vault. So the way vault works when it's dealing with AutoCAD and stuff like this is through drawing properties. So basically, vault communicates with these drawing properties. You can make it communicate with attributes, but I found personally when I'm doing this, it tends to work better to work with drawing properties. It's a little bit more efficient. So vault, this is a two-way street. It'll write to vault, it will read from vault. And then whatever gets read back into here, the title block is just reading that information in fields. So that's the way this would work when working with vault. Without vault, it'll still work this way. I just don't have the vault part of it as an input. So this is going to work. I don't have vault on my computer at all, so I can't show you that part. But this is the way we would set up this situation to work with vault. So from here, title block routine comes in, and this is basically, I don't think I have any clients with Hagerman that are using this part of it. This is the part where it's dealing with project information, because every drawing in the project is going to have this same information. Most all my Hagerman clients are using this part of it, and I think they're just manually typing that in or letting Vault control it if it's a Vault drawing. But this will work with Vault or without Vault this way. But basically we'll deal with the project first. So before I show this, let's open up a couple of drawings here. If you went to my project here, you can see I'm in my projects are in folders. I've got 4 of them here. This one we're going to use for electrical. This one we're going to use for Plant 3D. These are the 2 we're using for AutoCAD, which is Cogswell Cogs and Spacely Sprockets. I'm not supposed to use real companies, so welcome to the world of Jetsons and my sense of humor. So we're dealing right now with a drawing in Cogswell Cogs, and when you go here, you can see I've got these 4 drawings plus a subfolder with some additional P&ID drawings, and I did that so when I'm showing you some auto update stuff later, how it'll work with both folders and subfolders. But this is considered a project that this one is reading right now. So I go to my title block and I want to change this project information. I didn't open up any drawings, I just talked about. So let's say I'll just do P300 just for one of them. I can open up every one of the drawings, they're all going to be the same. So you can see project information for these 3 and this number. Okay, so we'll close this one and go back to the original drawing. And I apologize if I'm talking a little bit fast. I'm trying to show as much as I can in the time allotted. And I also know that when you watch this later, you'll get a link to the video. You can pause it and talk about it amongst yourselves and see exactly everything at your own pace. All right, so this one here, I've got the project information here. I'm going to hit Edit Project. I'll come here and just, this is what year, 2023. So 2023 will make the project number. I'll say it's Cogswell Cogs Incorporated. It's still a manufacturing plant, but it's in Orbit City, Nevada. I don't know why I put it in Nevada. I just did. We'll say accept. You can see it changed this information, and that's all I'm going to change for now, and hit OK. And you'll see my title block opened up immediately because it updated the project's properties here that would be communicating with Vault. So it updated everything, but if I then go over here and open up this drawing, there you go. Same changes just happened, and I could open up any drawing in this folder and subfolder. We'll go to a subfolder here. I'll just pick one, drawing 7 here, and you could, if you were paying attention, that updated immediately as soon as I opened up the drawing. It's getting the same updates. Matter of fact, we'll leave it there. Save change. Yeah, we could save them. Just to show you, I can change. Well, I don't want to take the time. I could go in there and change it to LTD, change project number. Everything's going to update as soon as it does it, and it would do it even if it was plotting and things like that. Everything's going to be updated as it needs to be. Anyways, so that's one way, one part of the title block routine is it's controlling the project information for everything. The drawing information is unique to this drawing. So from here, I can make changes to who drew it, all that information, but I could literally create another drawing from here too. So you can see it's knows the drawing number, the current rev, and the file name. I could change this from being a PFD P&ID to we'll make it a general drawing, and it changed my drawing number, which also changed my file name. Now it hasn't been actually done it yet because I haven't saved it, but here I can change it to a general arrangement. And if I tried to make this sheet 1, I guess I already have a sheet. There's something I don't have here. Let's see. Let's go projects. Pick something that actually exists. So this P300. So we'll do a piping, and we'll make it a general arrangement. It recognizes I've already got a P300 in my project, so I can't use that. I got to have a different sequence number, and I'll make it 0002. As long as it doesn't exist, it will go forward. So it's actually making sure I don't overwrite one file with another and keeping it up that way. I've had people who do this and it'll just automatically take the next sequence number that's available. This one out of the one I created back then doesn't do that, but I've seen that, and I can change any information here I want to. But as soon as I hit OK, it's going to create that new drawing. It's the same drawing. It just created a whole new drawing with that one, and the original drawing was not touched at all. So I can control the file names, I can control all the information that's written in here, all from one nice little dialog box where, you know, this is going to be drawn by, let's just make somebody up, Arthur Curry, AC. Hit OK, and it updated my drawing. So everything's getting updated, everything's working straight from this one little nice little dialog box. It's a lot easier and better organized. Again, it's also communicating with Vault if it needs to. Let's take it another step, revisions. Now for this one, I'm going to pick a different drawing and a different project because I've already got a bunch of revisions in it so that you can see how this is working also. So I'm going to go to my Space Leaf Sprockets. And for revisions, I'm going to open up this P400 right here. I chose this one because I've already got a bunch of revisions in it, okay? A through J. Part of this particular program here is, now I've got revisions. This part of the program I'm using that does not communicate with Vault. So this would be a setup that has no Vault whatsoever. In this particular case, if I go back here, I've got an archives folder. And you can see there's the same project. And you can see there's the same drawing where I've upped it all the way through Rev I, because the current one is J. So J is the active revision, but I've got saved versions for those saved times of when this has been created in the past. So basically when I do the revisions now, and I came here and I said, this is going to be K, it's ready to go to the next revision. I'm going to make this one released for review. It doesn't matter if I type caps or not, and I'll say this is being approved by Diana Prince. Hit finish. It upped it to Rev K. It changed it here in the title block down here to the current revision being Rev K. It also made an archive of Rev J, which wasn't there before. Maybe this was supposed to be released for approval, not released for review. I have that functionality here to where I can edit the current revision instead of upping it to L. I could say edit the current. Let's go ahead and make it approved. APPROVED. Hit finish. Didn't make any changes except for that text. Did not archive a new drawing. What happens when I max it out? That's another reason I wanted this here, because I can come in here and say we're going to make this revision L. If I don't type a description and approval, it won't take. It has to have everything filled out. I'm just going to say released for just to get by, and we'll just put in the same two initials. Notice it knows it's me already because of my login. It knows today's date. I hit finish. It made Rev L, created the archive for K. But this time when I go to do it again to get to Rev M, it understands there is no room here. So it's bumping everything back to where it's going to start at B here automatically. It understands to do that. Again, I'm just going to type junk in here and a couple of initials and hit finish, and it bumps everything back. Plus it did the archive. Now, the company I worked for, we used letter revisions whenever it was preliminary. Once it went to release for construction, that was Rev 0. So in this situation, when it was going to be released for construction, we would hit revision and we would hit scrub. I don't know why we use the word scrub. We could have put, you know, release for construction or something. I guess because it doesn't take up as much room, but when you hit scrub, it scrubs out everything that's there, changes it to the number 0, and release for construction, where all I need is the initial of the person that's approving it, hit finish, and bada bing, bada boom. Everything's been set up. Again, it's saved the archive of whatever it was, which was Rev M, before that point of taking it to release for construction. So it's just a nice way of being able to manage each drawing individually as well as project-wide with one tool, in this case, two tools of the title block and revision. I've had companies that have taken bits and pieces of this and made it into one one command. I've got companies who've made it into 2 pages, one for the title block and one for the revision, so they only have one command. It's all up to the company to how they want it to work, and those are just some examples of how this works. Of course, I don't have anything in this actual drawing. It was just done strictly to show you how this would work. But let me show you one more thing about archiving, because when I showed you archiving earlier, as you noticed, only spacely sprockets. Let's go back to Cogswell Cogs. It's all an automatic thing. I'll take this 312002, and I'm going to go ahead and do a revision, and we'll make it be rev, and we'll say released for approval. I'm just going to say released, and we'll go ahead and make this with Diana print still, hit finish. It understood it needed to put it in archives. It created Cogswell Cogs, and it created the archive for it. So it's a pretty nice little method for being able to manage the routines and stuff like that. And again, this is basically one that can be that I've used a lot for a bunch of clients, and we modify it to meet whatever your needs are. And again, you could create the same thing if you wanted to. Layouts. The next part was creating layouts and labeling and bill of materials. So now we're going to get into something that's a little bit different, and I'm going to open up a drawing called A300-001. It's got nothing in it. It's a Cogswell Cogs one. This one, by the way, the revision and title block stuff I did, every bit of that will work in LT. There was nothing. I've tested that exactly what I just did with you guys right now in AutoCAD. I've done those same tests, and they all work in AutoCAD LT without issue. So no problem there. This one here, the current doing the creating layouts and labeling and bill of materials. I'm not talking about layouts like the tabs. This is all will work in LT also. So no problem with this one in LT. This one, the reason I've got this drawing set up is it's already set up at 3/8 inch equals a foot, so I didn't have to come in here and do any special settings to get it going. So it's ready to go. I don't have this one in my tool palette because it's a bunch of keywords that go that do different things. So what we're going to do is I use this one. I did get permission from the person who I wrote this one for originally. This is quite a bit different than what they did. Theirs was a lot more detailed, a lot more information. I've really simplified it. But since theirs was called panels, I felt like they would want me to do I wanted to make sure I had their permission before I did it. So this was not near as advanced as the one I did for the client, but it will show you some ideas. I've had several clients where I've done similar type stuff for. I'm going to call this in my outer wall. So it's a command called OW. Here I'm going to set the panel length. It's going to be 50 inches. They're going to be 4. I could do 4, 5, or 6. That's the only thing it will allow for the panel width. I'm going to just leave it at 4 for now. Since there's no panels in the drawing, I can't select an existing one, and that comes in handy. Think of match properties, that type thing. So we'll hit OK, and I'm going to just pick a random point. Now let's get my ortho turned on so I stay straight. So I'm going to do this one 640 inches. Now notice this piece on the end when I make the change here. We'll do 330, and you can see it put in a corner piece. 640, come here, and I'm just going to do C for close, just like in AutoCAD. So I drew my outer wall panels. They are all 50 inches by 4 inches every panel, and then this last corner piece is based on symmetrical dimension of what it needed to finish it out to get that last 40 inches and all. The interior walls, I can stick with 50. I'm going to make it 48 just to be different. I am going to stick with 4 inches, hit OK, and we'll draw one here. Let's draw one right there to there. Repeat the command, just hit OK. Show you I can draw both directions. We'll take this one from here to here. You can see it's putting in T pieces. And then I'll go here. This I'm going to hit select panel just to show you how it works. So it pulled in the 50 inches by 4. And I'll just put it, we'll say right there to right there. And so there you can see it drew my interior walls with additional panels These are all 48 inch, these are 50, put the T's in where necessary, came up with that. So the last part of this I'm gonna do is door panels or door walls. We'll say we need a 36-inch door here. We need a 36-inch door here. Right here, I'm gonna put a 36-inch door. I'll just put 2 here. I'm just making this up as I go, people. We'll put one there. I could have hit twice. Then we'll put in one, we'll go ahead and say select door to keep this one 36. So we'll put in that one here. For the fun of it, I'll put in one here. And we can flip these. I hit the wrong flip on one of them to get them whatever direction we need them after the fact. Okay, so that kind of gives you an idea of what we can do. Again, I kept this one simple and only worried about those 3 commands, the parts of the command there, to where I was just doing doors and walls, and I didn't make them any fancier than what you see here. But this brings us to the last part of it. I got my layout drawn. Now I want to do, and this is vanilla AutoCAD. This is and everything that I'm doing this with right now. This is going to be labeling those panels and creating a bill of material. One simple command, LP. They're all labeled instantly. Put there, and there's a little bill of material, a very simple one. But you can see W1, W2, T2, so based on the different doors in there. And when you look at the bill of material, it just pulled information from each one. And I could have went a little further and made it to where, depending on which way the door was, left hand or right hand, things like that, I could have made that into additional stuff here. This was sufficient enough to show you the capabilities of what we can do. So for this type of company that does very consistent work that's always the same, there you go. There's where I can create something in a whole drawing relatively quickly. And I've had several clients, we've done similar type stuff to here. Again, this will work in LT. I can open up LT and do exactly what I just showed you, and it would create the exact same layout, same labeling, same bill of material. So that's a nice thing about a lot of this stuff with LT now, is I can do stuff like that. Let's go on to the next one, which is assigning data to entities and extracting that data. And again, this is something you can do in LT as well. So I'm going to just create a new drawing. I forgot to do one thing because it's part of that add layout, but just so it'll ask me correctly right now, I'm going to go ahead and fix it. And under Lisp here, if I add this one with the correct file name, then the add layout has another task it does, which is when I create a new drawing, it says, which one do you want? I'm just going to make this one a B size, hit OK. And so I've got the one B size layout to start with. All right. So this one's going to be a bearing. For that, I need to have a bearing in here. So let me insert one. This is the only one I put on my system that I needed for this. A mounted bearing, just the layout part of it. I kept this pretty simple. I've done similar types of this for several different clients. I've never done one that was a bearing, so that's why I chose to make a routine for a bearing here. We'll pick bearing. Pick this particular bearing here, and you can see OK is grayed out because until everything is answered, it's not going to actually allow me to save this information. But you can see here when I hit lubricated, certain things happened. I've only got aluminum and bronze, for instance, so that's what it did there. If I hit dry running, it changed some things because I can now do only aluminum, but I have the choice of acetal or bronze. Right there. If I hit light duty, if you notice when I was on lubricated, these were grayed out. But if I go dry running and say light duty, then I have other choices. And some of those will define my bearing choice from there. If I hit high speed, again, other choices. So what we're doing here is basically controlling some of the materials I can use in the selection all. I'm going to leave this one dry running and high speed, so we'll make it the black oxide steel. That is my only choice for the bearing material for that one. The height, if you notice here, there's no height for the bearing. It's calculated. So if I say it's 2.5 inches, it automatically will calculate the bearing height. I'm not going to tell you if that's correct or not because I just made that height up just to show that possibility. The flange thickness we're going to say is 1.125, and then we can answer all the questions here. It's going to be 400 pounds, RPM of 60, we'll say -40 to 180. And I still have to choose self-aligning or flange. I'm going to say self-aligning. Everything's been set. I can hit OK, and drawing's not saved. It can't create the database file, the export, if the drawing's never been saved. So let's save this drawing, and I'm just going to save it here under Cogswell Cogs as M300-0001. But all that data was already written to the bearing. So it has all the data that was written to it, so it didn't forget anything I filled out. Now I can hit OK. It created me a text file that has all the information, including notes for a data sheet based on my choices. Some of it you noticed was not able to be, I'm just going to copy this one just to show you, was not able to be modified in the drawing, and that's because it's getting its information from the block itself. So I can actually make some changes here, change the diameter, change the shaft diameters, stuff within the block itself. So you'll notice this one is a housing length of 3 1/4. This one is a housing length of 5 inches. It's just to show you each bearing has its data stored with it. So even though I could make this one lubricated, aluminum and bronze, we'll keep everything else the same. Actually, I'll make it 30 RPM just for the fun of it, and we'll say fixed alignment. So I'm making all those changes. Now the data sheet for it, you can see the different changes. The fixed alignment is 5 inches, different notes. There's the RPM. So everything about it is lubricated. It's oil embedded. Everything about it is based on that block. Likewise, if I go back to this one, I've missed a block. It's got all the settings for it, and that's what it's going to create for it. So it doesn't care about how many blocks I have in the drawing. Now I probably could have taken this one more step to where each bearing got its own data sheet. I made it by the drawing, just for sake of time's sake, because this was being created just for this webcast. But you get the idea. It's creating dynamic blocks that can be modified, and then I can change the data that's being saved to it. It's all saved with each block individually, and it exports to a data file. So we've done similar type stuff like that does a lot more than what I just did, but it gives you the combination. I've got one client which both the bearing and the layout, I had very similar things with the whole thing. To where I had the export data file and stuff like that. So it's not uncommon to do a lot of different things with these. And again, everything I did in this one, I can do in LT. It's not limited to just AutoCAD. So the next one to show you, we're getting close to the end here. This is dealing with task automation or active drawing and entire folder structures is what I called it. I'm going to go back to my I312002 here and just show you a few little commands. Now this one, I'm just going to show you some commands that are simple type stuff you can do. For instance, if I wanted to right click, select similar on that valve, notice it only selected those gate valves that were on that layer. Isolate the objects, that's AutoCAD. Okay, this is AutoCAD here too. I just put it on my tool palette because I like it there. Here's my version of doing the same thing where I could say isolate object and it will grab just all the gate valves. Or I could say hide all the gate valves, hide all of those, hide all of those. I accidentally picked lines that time, but I can pick objects and hide everything. I don't have to pick them one at a time. Just little tools. Now those tools, again, they'll work. Here's an erase one where I actually pick it and say erase all of this one, erase all of that one. It's erasing every block that has that name. And they are literally erased. They're not hidden. I can hit end object isolation. They're not there. So, I mean, little commands like that, sometimes people will come and they'll say, we need little tools. Again, that's something you could possibly write to yourself. I didn't save the drawing so that I didn't lose all those things. I just erased. I didn't want to get it back to where it was. But those are the type commands, and those will work in LT. This next one though here, property update, this one will not work in OT and LT. And because this one is for updating properties on entire directory structures, it will do it without ever opening a single drawing too. So for instance, if I go property update and I pick, here's the list of all the properties that are in the drawing properties. I'm going to do drawn by, and I'm going to use my initials. Drawn by REF, because you can see this one is TS. I think most every drawing in Cogswell Cogs is drawn by TS, if I remember correctly. If I include subfolders, it'll include that subfolder PNID. I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to say drawn by, and the root folder is going to be okay. And you can see it updated this one. I can open up any drawing, and it was updated just through what was called a property update. And if I go to the subfolder one, you'll see it did not update because it was not included in the subfolders. If I would have checked included subfolders, it would have updated those. This one though, I could actually create, I'm just showing you some tools here. This one, I could actually create a new property, brand new, that's not even here. There's nothing here about engineer. Just to show you that, if you go here, there's no engineer, so it'll put it at the bottom, and I can open up every other drawing. It'll do the same thing. I'll say property update. We're going to add engineer for whatever reason. Let's see, something to make this not unique. Lori's in attendance. Let's make her famous. But I'm not going to use her last name. She knows who I'm talking about. Lori, her last initial is T, so we'll call her Lori T. Let's call her Lori T. Hey, let's make her, I'm sorry, Lori Iced Tea, because she is now a Top Gun. All right, include the subfolders. It's going to create a new engineer, Lori Iced Tea. Okay, you go here, you can see added it. I can go to any drawing, including the subfolders, and engineer Lori Iced Tea was added. So I'm able to do that. I never even opened up a single drawing. I did it all in the background, because sometimes you can do that. Sometimes you have to open up drawings. This next one I'm going to show you, I have to open up drawings for it. But because that one is actually editing other drawings, you can't do that in LT. So that one would work on the current drawing, but not in all the other drawings. It'll probably bomb out the way it's written right now if I tried it. Once it tried to do it in the other drawings, I think it just bombs out. But let's talk about this one here. This is a more advanced type thing. So here we got these gate valves. You can see they're quite wide and all, and they have attributes of just 3: valve text, valve size, valve manufacturer. They're all filled out. Some of them don't have valve text, that's okay. Same thing with the gate valves, and I've got some closed versions here that are identical. I've got several PNIDs for in a minute to show you how I can update all the PNIDs at one time, but that have the same valves. Anyways, let's just do a quick block up it. Now this part command on a single drawing will work for the most part in LT, but this particular screen is where it won't work in LT. It'll just be blank because I've got it set up to read in my library the PNID blocks. So you can see check valve, gate valve closed. I'm going to hit cancel, come over here to my library, PID, it's reading this folder, and that's what it's reading. So for instance, if I came in here and said, let's create a globe valve, paste, and that's going to be globe valve, GLOBE valve. Not going to make any changes, just creating it. Hit my block update, grab that gate valve, and it says, what do you want to change it to? And there's globe valve now. So this list, I can't create an LT. So if I ran this command in LT, I'd just have to hit OK and go to the next screen. It's not going to let me change anything here. But in the next screen, if I haven't picked anything here, it will let me manually type in a block name. And then I could type in, I'm going to use gate valve. So if I hit in the LT, I could hit OK and I could type in gate valve and it would work. I just won't have this list because it can't do that. But since I've chose gate valve, I can just hit OK. And it says, okay, gate valve has an attribute called size. It's not in this block. Which one do you want to set it to? Well, that's valve size. This gate valve has an attribute called class. It's not in this block, but also they don't have anything about class in the existing block. So if I hit OK, it'll ask me, what do you want it to do? Well, I want it to be, everything's going to be plus 150, so I'll just make it say 150. Hit OK. No manufacturer, that will be valve manufacturer. No model, nothing here for model. And since model is going to be different in every valve size, I'm just going to say blank it out. Don't type anything in it. And the description is the same as valve text. Hit OK, and it updated all the valves. You can see they look different. And each valve, it kept all the information that was already there. Model is blank in every single one because it has to be manually filled out. So where does this come in handy? Let's say you have, I'm going to change this one. This one you can see is valve text manufacturer size. Well, you saw one way it comes in, but let's say I'm just going to make this one to where all I'm going to do is change it here in the drawing. You may have had this happen to you before because you know if you've ever changed attributes in a block where there's existing drawings, it will not update the existing versions in the drawing. So I changed it to those 3 just in this drawing. So this is more how I would do it in LT because it did not have any effect on the existing ones. If I used @sync, which is what Autodesk tells you to do, well, yeah, that will update this valve to the existing attributes, but it lost all the information because it's not the same attribute names. So that's where the block update will come in. I can just select it. Again, these are just ideas and concepts. It's not going to be one of these. This is the one I just did in the block editor. So I'll hit OK. And this is what it would have done in LT on the first one. And you just need to type in the block name. Well, the block name was called VCheck. So I type in the exact same name that of this block, but it's going to now say, okay, description is what? Text. It was valve text, and manufacturer was manufacturer, and size was size, and now all those blocks have been updated with the new attributes without having to lose the data that was already in there. So that's kind of the concept of a couple of different concepts for it. I'm not going to save this drawing. I'm going to go ahead and reopen it. So what happens if you have a bunch of drawings that have these valves in it and you want to update 100 at a time? It could be anything. I'm just using the valves as an example. That's where we do something like this auto block update version here. This has been a very common thing I've done for people, especially when people are trying to get old drawings into Vault and stuff like that. They need to get stuff updated. Now, everything in this one has already been predefined. Understand that VGate has these 3 and they're going to be the ones we pick. So it's not going to ask us to pick everything because that's already been picked and predefined in the routine. But here's how it works. Auto block update. What project do I want? I could run it on every drawing in every project. Or I could say this is just going on Cogswell Cogs. It will do subfolders. So if I pick Cogswell Cogs, that's the only folder and its subfolder is going to work on. So we'll say okay. Because of what it's doing, it's going to open every drawing and run through it. Doesn't take it that long. You can kind of see it updating them as we go. Some of those were because we made copies. If it doesn't have valves in it, it just opened it and went on. But if it had valves, it opened it, made the update. When it's done, it tells me. When I hit OK, I can go look, and in this drawing, all the valves have been updated. Doesn't matter which drawing I open, if it was in that project and it was one with valves, any of those 3 valves, then they got updated. Nice little tool for me that was created just to do a specific task. And so that's an auto update of a bunch of drawings of certain blocks, or I've done layers for people. They wanted layers updated, stuff like that, doing it to where it processes through, and it saves you a lot of time in doing it that way. But again, because it's working with multiple drawings and multiple drawing structures, you can't do that in LT. So let me see where I'm at. The last thing is routine specific to AutoCAD Electrical, Plant 3D, or any other tool set. So these won't take long to show you. This is the only one. Where's electrical? There's electrical. This is the only one that I'm doing that is almost exactly like I did for the client. He gave me permission to do this, but I did make a few changes to it because of some things that I prefer in the way they work. But this is just to show you I can do this stuff with tool sets, and we'll be done here in just a few minutes now, because this won't take long at all. It's called fan in, fan out, or fan in out. The reason being is he didn't like the way fan in and out worked out of the box with AutoCAD. So he wanted his own version, and this was a great idea, actually. So I'm going to just, when you pick a manufacturer, the part numbers change for that manufacturer. Now this is exactly the way he did it. This is where I would probably make a change myself and make it work with the electrical catalog instead of a file. He just wanted an ASCII file that would control all this. That's the way this one works currently. But I would have taken this step further and made it work with the catalog of AutoCAD. I can do that. It just would require a little more time of programming. But he also, the left to right, he was thinking in terms of if you pick here, it will make the cable and work that way, which that's what he called left, is it's working to the left. My brain works, that's the way I did it. So this is one of the changes I made. My brain thinks of I'm picking on the left and working to the right. So left to right. In this case, I'm going to pick it on this point here and say left, pick that point of pin 1, and it drew that particular cable, put in the cable marker, put in all the correct colors, ready to all fanned in with the 4 wires. That was a 4-wire cable that I chose to fan out or fan into a single cable. And then likewise over here, I can do the exact same thing, same cable, and say on the right, because I'm working from right to left, and it will put in the exact same thing. In this case, the same cable. They're marked different now, but once I went into AutoCAD electrical stuff, add my source and destination arrows and linked everything up, it would understand this is the same cable, the same wire numbers, everything, and it would work. But all that's AutoCAD electrical. It's just getting the initial in there that needs it in order to connect. They could be on 2 separate drawings. If you know AutoCAD electrical, you know how to do the rest of this. But for getting that little layout, that was not something AutoCAD electrical does on its own. So there you go. Nice little tool that was created for a client to make a fan in, fan out a lot easier and faster than what they have out of the box. Likewise in Plant 3D, just to show you something, this is just one that you may have seen if you've ever been in one of my Plant 3D ones. I've used this several times in it, but I've never really talked about it being a Lisp routine that much. But I'm going to just create a bill of material right here, and I'm going to just make it pretty good size here. And so there's the format of it. You can see it's ID, quantity, and I like item number, size. I like specific material. I don't like my weight being 4 characters. I like it rounded to the nearest pound and things like that. So there's a BOM setup, which is I've already set this one up ahead of time, so I didn't have to do all the formatting stuff to save some time. But here I can control the names of the columns. I can control how wide they are, how high my row heights are. Also, whether something's uppercase or lowercase. Because you see here, this strainer came in all upper and lowercase. Nothing is all uppercase, so I can say I want it to be uppercase. I can make it round to the nearest 0 there, and it's very specific sizes. Hit OK, and it changes the format to match what I had set up there. So it makes it an easy way to format my bill of materials. It's just a little Lisp routine that does it. If you ever update your bill of materials, you'll see it doesn't change the widths and stuff like that anymore. It used to, but it doesn't anymore. But it did reset it back to there. It also got rid of my uppercase. So instead of using update bill of materials, I use a command called BOM, and it keeps the format and keeps the uppercase and weight and stuff like that. But it's just to show you I can write routines, list routines that work in Plant 3D. I can write them in electrical, I can write them in mechanical. I don't want to go through all the tool sets. I just wanted to give you a couple of examples real quick how you can do that. You can do it yourself. And hopefully that will give you some ideas on what you can do with this stuff. Let me go back to the PowerPoint, and in closing here, just talk about the differences between AutoCAD LT and AutoLISP, the LT AutoLISP limitations. You can't do any object arcs or .NET in AutoCAD LT. That's why the software setup routines don't work. That's why the routines that pull from other drawings don't work. They have to, it won't let you use those, anything related to object arcs and .NET. None of those were using .NET, but all of them were using object arcs that I gave an example of. I was also using some stuff with ActiveX. You can't do that. You have a lot of limitations. Some ActiveX will work, but it's usually only within the drawing. If you're trying to do stuff with Windows file and folder information, that's why when I tried to, I couldn't populate all those blocks from the PNID library in that one dialog box, because in LT it will not pull window file and folder information because that uses ActiveX. Batch processing on multiple files and folders, that's all using ActiveX. That's why both the property update and the batch processing of all the drawings to update the blocks didn't work, because that uses ActiveX, and therefore it won't work in LT. There's also limited functions for object creation, and this is not talking about drawing a line and stuff like that or inserting a block. This is talking about I could have routines. I've done routines in the past that literally create objects, blocks and stuff like that with attributes, and everything's created on the fly through the object, through that. A lot of people do stuff like that, and I've done that with routines before, and routines that create AutoCAD objects will not work in LT. So that pretty much sums up what you can do in LT, and that's pretty much lets you know what your possibilities with AutoLISP. I hear a lot of people today talk about AutoLISP as a thing of the past. Nobody uses it anymore. It's still a great tool to use. It's better than trying to do stuff in C+ or .NET, in my opinion, although a lot of people want to use .NET and things like that because they know it, and there's nothing wrong with that. But it'll be faster in AutoLISP because there is a translator in AutoCAD. Is made inherently for Lisp, so it's actually translating the .NET into Lisp, and so there's that delay there. So I'd still prefer Lisp for reasons like that, but it's also I know it, and I've never found anything that I can't do with it. There may be some limitations, but I've found that it's very, very powerful. And we offer custom programming solutions in AutoLISP that you're more than welcome to contact us on. If you don't want to do it yourself or want to find out more information about it, contact your sales rep or go to Hagerman.com and you can get more information about it. We have done a lot recently of people who have programs, thousands of lines of code that were written back in 10, 20 years ago sometimes, and they don't work in the newer versions, and they want to get that code updated, and we have been able to successfully update people's code because I know what to look for. So there's a lot of stuff that we can do with this, that we can help you with existing code that no longer works, or in code creating stuff from scratch, which most everything I've demoed has been creating stuff from scratch. Let's see if there's any questions. Brad, I'll let you let me know if there's any questions we need to answer. I also see the chat. Oh, I'm trying to read something. Oh, okay, I see it. All right, so what are the outstanding questions, Brett?
There's just two. First one, can the revision list be used on the whole directory, or do you need to do it for each drawing?
It could be done on a whole directory. I mean, it's just the way you set it up. My version I was showing here just does everything on the current drawing because that's the way it was set up for the company I did. But I could make it to work on an entire folder structure because I do know lots of times, especially see this with electrical people, if one drawing updates in a ladder diagram, one ladder diagram updates, the entire project updates with the same revision level. And we used to do that also once it changed to release for construction, but we had another routine that handled that. But it could have easily been blended in with that revision one to do that. Yeah, that'd be no problem to do that. The
All
other
right.
outstanding.
The other question is actually, there's two questions here. It's just from the same person. First, can the title block information be used to update on multiple layout pages in the same file?
It could be. Now, it depends on what you're talking about. Like, for instance, the one I was showing with the layouts the way I do them, which was where they're just strictly different size plotting, they would have all updated simultaneously, but they're all the same exact information. They're same drawing numbers, same rev level, same everything. They're just different plotters and sheet set sizes. So the DWIF, the BPDF, the DPDF, they're just same exact title block. They would have all updated, even though the title block was all in paper space in all three of them, but they were designed for that that plotting scenario. So in that case, mine did it automatically just then. If he's referring to where some people will take in each layout sheet will be sheet 1 of 10, 2 of 10, 3 of 10, yeah, that could be done. It would require little bit of creative programming and consistent naming of layout tabs to make it work that way, because I'd have to use the layout tabs to determine which one was which. But I could do that, yeah, and anybody could, but it would just require additional programming to differentiate between the different ones.
Part B, I guess, of that string, and also be able to have different information from one to the next, which I think you demoed with the title block command.
Not understanding the question.
Yeah, I guess I should have read it all together. So, can you update information on layout pages within the same drawing file while also being able to have some information be different per layout, such as page numbers or description?
Okay. Yeah, you could do that. I mean, it would just require some different types of programming set up and things, but yeah, it could be done. The more complex you get within that drawing though, the more time it's going to take to do that stuff like that, because AutoCAD is technically set up to where one drawing number, it's the way it's designed is you don't do sheet 1 of 10, 2 of 10 all in the same drawing and different layout tabs. The layout tabs are for plotting purposes, which is the way I was demoing it. So sheet 1 and sheet 2 and sheet 3 of 10 are all separate drawings, and that's the way it's designed, and so that's the way it's easier to program it that way. But a lot of people do that with the layout tabs. They have to be using AutoCAD because the tool sets will not allow you to do that, because they're designed to be one drawing title block per drawing DWG file. So you can't do that in like AutoCAD Electrical or Plant 3D or Mechanical and stuff. So if in vanilla AutoCAD you could, it just would require a little bit more creative programming to get it to work. But there's no reason I couldn't do it. I mean, I've done similar type stuff.
All right. Yeah. So questions are starting to trickle in here. The next one that came in, what is object arcs?
Object arcs is the way you get document information. So for instance, if I want to pull information from that drawing template, I'm going to go, it's a I don't know how to describe it that too much, but basically I'm going to use object arcs to get the document information and then take it from there to be able to pull the different information stuff. So I used object arcs a lot in the one that did the property update without opening drawings. I was using object arcs all through that one, but it's just a part of Windows. I mean, you can access it in Windows, in Excel and Word and all different things through VBA or another .NET and stuff like that. So it's just something Windows created to be able to do it. Same thing similar with ActiveX. It's just another Windows thing that was created for getting particular information. And it's not a programming language. It's something that the program has to be able to access and read. But there are commands to object arcs and ActiveX both that work just for those particular things. So there are some programming functions, we'll call it that way, that you have to use to get that information. But it's more advanced data that cannot be reached with normal Lisp stuff in a drawing. Like with Lisp, it's easy to access variable settings and stuff like that that are part of the DWG, but to get to that Windows stuff, that's a lot more advanced in there, and for the setup and things, you have to use particular functions that are just not available in LT. How you know if you have LT versus non-LT? Well, that would be in when you go to About Autodesk, or actually at the top it should tell you where it says AutoCAD. Like if I'm in Plant 3D, it'll say AutoCAD Plant 3D. If I'm in AutoCAD, it'll just say AutoCAD. If I'm in LT, it'll say AutoCAD LT. But you can go to the About function also and look at About AutoCAD, and it'll actually tell you there AutoCAD LT or whatever it is.